Tashdele to everyone. It is our great honor to welcome His Eminence Changjub Chönden Rinpoche, the Secretary of Kanden Tido Kang Geshe-lobsan. Can you hear me? Okay. Geshe-lobsan Tenzin-la, the Executive Director of Emory's Compassion Center. Geshe London-la, Debung Loseling's Administrator. We are happy to have our beloved unit leaders and staff, the always supportive science coordinators, the talented graduate teachers, and our dear monastic students. Today marks a special occasion in ETSI's Monastic Science Education Program. With this winter intensive, we are entering into the sustainability phase after the completion of the 6-year implementation phase in 2019. The COVID-19 pandemic had put some roadblocks in our way, resulting in the halting of our programs. Both the summer pedagogy and the NUNS Year 4 implementation in 2020 and 2021, the winter research and translation training in 2020. But we are fortunate that our students and the graduate science teachers are able to gather today at Debung Loseling Science Center to participate in our workshop for the sustainability phase. We started this winter intensive program with the translation workshop for the sustainability phase, workshop which had been completed successfully, and we are now starting the research methodology training. As you may all know, the sustainability program aims to develop well-qualified monastic science teachers to support the science education at monasteries and nunneries. It will work to further cultivate and deepen scientific knowledge, pedagogical skill, and research methodology of the monastic students so that they can not only teach science, but also conduct research works. This training will be conducted in a blended way with remote sessions taught by faculty from the United States and in-person sessions facilitated by our on-site teachers. We have 61 participants from 10 monastic institutions present here in this training. With this, I would now like to request His Eminence Changjub Chönden Rinpoche to say a few words to grace this occasion. I'm sorry, I'm seeing the messages now. Can you hear me?
Yes, Satan, we can hear you, but we can't hear the participant microphone, I believe.
Oh, I see. Let me check with them.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. While they are working on it, we would go ahead and request Geshe Lobsang to share his remarks. Geshe unmute now.
Yes, Gurgu Arevela.
This go is long.
Ale.
Geshe
Well. Thank you,
Geshe.
Good morning, everyone, and good evening to our monastic participants from India. It's such an honor to have the presence of His Eminence Khenzo Janshu Choten Rinpoche to grace this opening event of our winter research. I want to just say a very few words and mainly to thank our incredible faculty who are present here, but also many who have been part of this initiative for many years. I want to thank, of course, the monastic leaders from the very beginning, including His Eminence and then Rinpoche at the time in 2013, who assembled the leaders from the various monasteries, including His Eminence Choten Rinpoche, who is present here today, and made the decision to implement the modern science as part of the monastic education. And as a result of that, we are able to see the implementation of modern science in monastic education. For his, of course, you know, this could not have happened without the vision, without the guidance of His Holiness the Dalai Lama himself, who has been for many decades envisioning a program like this. In fact, in the Universe in the Single Atom, written around 2007 or so, in which His Holiness mentions that today, in the first decade of the 21st century, science and spirituality have the potential to be closer than ever and to embark upon a collaborative endeavor that has far-reaching potential to help humanity meet the challenges before us. A few years ago, a couple of years ago, His Holiness has written about our collaboration here, the efforts taken by Emory University. In his message to Emory University, he wrote that over the past 2 decades, it has been a delight to collaborate with Emory University on initiative fostering the convergence of science and spirituality. The emory-tibet Science Initiative is one such program. It has successfully implemented comprehensive modern science education into the core curriculum of Tibetan monastic institution. We are already seeing results from this endeavor in the number of monastic scholars able to engage in deep dialogue with scientists on topics of mutual interest. So it is clear that His Holiness's vision to bring the modern science into the monastic education is not only to introduce science to the monastics, but really the ultimate or the long-term goal is to contribute to the betterment of the humanity, towards the flourishing of humanity, and that to accomplish that, seeing the need to have an education that is more complete, more holistic, that takes both from the dominant scientific tradition, but also the very ancient or time-tested, insights and tools from the contemplative traditions. I think that the emory-tibet Science Initiative provides that opportunity for the two communities to have that meaningful contribution towards the knowledge that can contribute to the betterment of the humanity. So for that reason, here at Emory University, at our Compassion Center, we are very, very grateful that we have been entrusted with this task, with this project, if you will, initiative, and this could not have happened without the support from the monastic community, but most importantly, from the faculty here at Emory and the various universities who have participated in this program. I'm just, reminded of my one of the very first conversations with my dear friend here, Dr. Ari Eisen, when we were just exploring the possibility, and it's really wonderful to see that how far we have come, and this fourth phase in our program, the sustainability, the way to not only prepare the monastic students to do research, but also to develop skills to teach the science so that it can truly become a sustainable program in the monasteries for many years to come. So with that, once again, I want to thank His Eminence Janji Choden Rinpoche for your presence, and thank you for our unit leaders, and in particular for this phase, Dr. Robin Naslog and Nicole Gerardo, for your leadership in designing and guiding this phase of the research part of in this phase of our program. Thank you so much, and I want to thank my staff here at Emory University, our administrators and translators, and at the end, want to thank our monastic participants. That you are the future for this program. So your participation and your commitment to realize His Holiness's vision is what is driving us, our efforts, is what gives us the motivation and the strength to have these programs. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Kishla, for this insightful remark. I think we'll now have His Eminence Changjub Chandan Rinpoche to say a few words to grace this occasion.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, and of course, good morning in the United States to all the expert scholars, those are gathering here, of course, virtually, and then all the sisters and brothers physically gathering here in this hall with me. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you on this occasion. You are beginning a kind of a program to study and learn how to do the research in kind of different fields of science. And as Professor Lobsang Tenzin Negi has presented, in the year 2013, we do recall very clearly that we had a kind of a great and important meeting, and we had a lot of discussions, and I was kind of moderating that meeting, and somehow we came to a very important and historic decision to systematically introduce the science education in Buddhist monastic curriculum. And I do believe that was a kind of, to a certain extent, a leap of a faith for, particularly for my colleagues. Most of them were much senior than me, and they were quite skeptical about taking such a kind of a big decision at that point. Somehow, when we look today, what big difference that decision had made in the course of time, I do really feel proud and rejoice that we took the decision at that point. We recall His Holiness has been kind of continuously telling the monastic leaders and administrators to teach science and introduce science in the monastic curriculum, but it didn't happen up to that point. I think there were many reasons behind that, and particularly monastic leaders were quite skeptical due to some kind of, how to say, an historic change that had to take place. Of course, it is a human attitude that we like to remain in status quo, and when we need to make a change, we are always skeptical. So from that point of view, I do really feel like we have taken a huge and important decision, and it is implemented with a kind of great rigor and great kind of enthusiasm by all the monastic administrators and all the kind of educators in the monastery. And today we have more and more monastic graduates. Those are kind of well informed and well educated in the kind of particular field of science, which is kind of matching with their kind of monastic training and monastic studies. And I do believe very strongly that in the course of time, we will have monastic scholars who will compose kind of books and articles, and particularly kind of, I do believe and I do hope and I do kind of pray for that, maybe within next 10 or 20 years, we may have some kind of a wonderful kind of writers and wonderful kind of, you know, authors which may come up with wonderful articles that may also contribute to the kind of international kind of scientific community. So in the Nalanda tradition, we have very strong kind of tradition of analytical studies. It is just a different kind of a field of kind of different field and different area that we are venturing with the same kind of implementation of the analytical kind of these contemplation and analytical kind of testing and those kind of things. So that really shows kind of His Holiness's vision about kind of blending to a certain extent the monastic education and the kind of modern kind of education of science will help the humanity. I think will become visible in the next couple of years or be in the next couple of decades. So, and particularly, I think we have a lot of organizations like Emory-Tibet Science Initiative and kind of Science for Monastics and kind of Science Meets Dharma, and a lot of such kind of initiatives and a lot of such projects and kind of groups has contributed greatly to this kind of endeavor that we have kind of been involved with. So I would like to kind of express my deepest And heartfelt thanks to all of you, particularly kind of in this case, Professor Dr. Negi and all his kind of colleague professors and experts. Those are kind of very enthusiastically working up to this point, and I do believe very strongly they will continue this wonderful task in coming years, and it will kind of grow further. So thank you very much for your wonderful work, and I request you to keep your valuable work continued in the future so that there will be more benefit coming up. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your inspirational remarks, Rinpoche. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank your office for your consistent support to our program. Next, I'd like to request Chanze Gishelondin La, the administrator of Tebung Loseling Monastery, to say a few words.
Hello. Rashid Delek, the Sangha community, and ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to be with you this evening at the opening of the Sustainability Phase of ETSI program. On behalf of Drepung Loseling Monastery, may I extend a very warm welcome to all the participants from 10 different monasteries and nunneries in this workshop of the research methodology. We are most grateful earlier this year that all of you supported our rescheduling of conference, which unfortunately had to be postponed due to this pandemic. In 1998, Drepung Loseling Monastery has made a historic partnership with Emory University by signing the cross-cultural exchange document called Emory-Tibet Partnership between Tibetan Monastic Institution and Western University in the presence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. To quote His Holiness' words from his inaugural speech during this partnership event, I believe that this is a very historic moment to see the forging of a relationship between two eminent institutions which represent the best of both the Tibetan tradition and the Western academic tradition. Since then, for more than 2 decades, Drepung Loseling has worked closely with Emory to facilitate opportunities that can enrich both traditions. One of the most important of these is the Emory-Tibet Science Initiative, ETSI, a program to create and implement a comprehensive and sustainable modern science curriculum specifically for the Tibetan monastic. Till date, ETSI has created a standard syllabus and curriculum to teach science to the monastic students and standardize around 7,000 scientific terms in Tibetan. Since the founding and inception of ETSI in 2006, ETSI has left no stone unturned to its effort to fulfill the vision of creating comprehensive and sustainable science education program for the Tibetan Buddhist monastic universities. To achieve the desired result of their initiative, ETSI worked on it in phased manner, beginning from the planning phase in 2006 and 2007, followed by a pilot phase in 2008 through 2013, and then implementation phase from 2014 to 2019. After the successful completion of the first 3 phases, we are now on the final phase, sustainability phase. This phase will go from this year till 2026. During this phase, ETSI will provide intense courses to the select group of monastic with focus to make science education in the monastery sustainable. We strongly believe and are absolutely confident that ETSI will undoubtedly also be successful in its endeavors towards sustainability of science education in the monasteries. On behalf of all the monasteries, I thank you, particularly ETSI, for this historic contribution to turning science education from a dream into the reality. I wish you all involved in this project a very huge success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe Londenla, for your great remarks. It feels great going back to the works we have done over the past years, the different phases ETSI has had. Thank you. Next, I'd like to request Dr. Ari Eisen to say a few words.
Hi, folks.
Dr. Eisen has been part of this program. As Geshe-la had said, Dr. Eisen has been part of this program since its inception and has seen the program grow and impact the community. And we are happy that he's able to join us despite being on sabbatical. Ari, thank you.
Morning, folks. Yeah, welcome everyone from Colorado. So it's kind of early here. I'm not awake yet. It's maybe 7 in the morning or something, but I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you to His Eminence and the Drepung Losling Administrator for being here. It's a wonderful thing to see all of you. And I just wanted to say one thing, you know, having been involved in this project for, you know, a decade and a half, just how beautiful it is to see you all and to see that, for me, the success and the beauty of this project is seeing the next generation of leaders here on this screen and all the young people that are getting involved in here, like David Goldberg, who represents the undergraduates who are working with the monastics at Emory, and Sarah Strassler, and Dr. Gray, Kelsey Gray, coming in from California, who's taking over this leadership, and Dr. Gerardo and Dr. Nuslaw, who are leading this project. It's a whole new generation of people who had probably never heard of the Emory-Tibet Science Initiative when it started, and now they're the new leaders. So, and all of you wonderful participants sitting there in Drepung, it's just a sign that this is a successful project since we're already moving into the next generation. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful time with this project. I think you'll find that Dr. Nuslaw and Dr. Gerardo have a magical touch and wisdom that will bring this project beautifully into the next phase. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ari. Next, I'd like to request Dr. Robin Nuslaw and Dr. Nicole Gerardo, our research unit leaders, to share with us the outlines of the research methodology training and what the students can expect from this workshop.
Can you see the slides? Great.
Yes, we can.
Well, it's just a real privilege and an honor to be here with all of you to kick off the sustainability phase, and in particular, the winter research program. I do have a question. Do we want to translate these slides, or should we just do this in English, Satan and Geshe-lopsan?
I think it's fine, Robin, if you go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's a privilege to be here to begin this next phase and to work so closely with all of you. My goal for just the next few minutes is to provide an overview of the structure of the winter research program. I want to say that it's just an absolute privilege and honor to work with Professor Nicole Gerardo on creating this winter research program. It's been just really wonderful to to work with her, and she'll be co-leading this this presentation with me this morning. As was mentioned, in 2019, ETSI graduated its first cohort of 223 monastics through the kind of standard portion of the ETSI program, and now we're in this very exciting sustainability phase. The sustainability phase will involve two different components: the summer curriculum and the winter research training program. And the goal was to initially start with the summer curriculum program, but due to COVID, we weren't able to do so. And obviously, we wish we were with you in person for the winter research training program, but it's a privilege to be able to start off the sustainability phase with the winter research training program, and working closely with Nicole and Pasang and Setan and Geshe-la and others. I think we've done a really nice job of creating a training program that, although we're not there in person, you know, that uses modern technology to create as good of an experience as we can. And I'd just like to give a special thanks to Pasang for all of his wonderful help and wonderful assistance in getting this program off the ground. The goal of the winter research training program is to really learn science by doing science. And I think there's a couple different objectives associated with this. One is to move more towards an experiential learning model, where instead of just digesting information about science, there's an actual experience of diving into the act of learning science and the act of producing science and kind of the scientific consciousness. And really important is the dialogue between academic science and Buddhist ideas, and the rich conversation that can happen between these two traditions. The second goal of this winter research training program that was so wonderfully mentioned in the earlier comments was to actually create a opportunity to contribute to the scientific literature. I think, you know, there's been a lot of research on Buddhism and on meditation, but I think we're in such a unique position now to actually have people who are the pure experts in this tradition to actually be the people generating the science. And so our long-term goal is to create, as the Dalai Lama says, a 100-year collaboration where we start to actually really work closely together as academic scientists and Buddhist monastics to, you know, explore the confluence of science and Buddhism, and really do this work collaboratively. So the winter research training program will really be an experiential dive into learning how to do science in a collaborative way with us. And I'm so excited to see what comes out of this conversation over the next few decades. So as I mentioned, it's been just a privilege to work on developing this with Professor Nicole Gerardo, and I'd love Nicole just to unmute and introduce herself, and yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole Gerardo. I'm a faculty member in biology at Emory University, and here today are a few other faculty and students from Emory, representing sort of all that Emory has done in terms of fostering this amazing collaboration. I would like to sort of reiterate a few things that Robin said. One is that Robin and I have had a wonderful experience working together thus far, thinking about how to do this workshop remotely. And we're excited to see it come to fruition. I think we're both really sort of nervous, excited, and sort of wondering how things are going to work over the next 14 days. We also are so grateful for the many people who have made this happen. Not surprisingly, when you're teaching from thousands of miles away, that only works if there are people there in the classroom and in the room who are setting it up so that we can communicate and still try to have sort of a really fruitful experience. And so thank you so much in particular to Pasang, who answered a million questions. And I already have a list of about 3 more questions for him. And to Setan, who has also sort of thought creatively about how to make this happen.
Great, and just a little bit about myself. I'm a professor at Northwestern University, and where I study kind of how the brain creates emotion and the neuroscience of mental and physical health. And I also just want to take another opportunity to say a few thanks. One is a special thanks to Geshe Lobsang for really being an inspiration for me to kind of reconnect with my deep and long roots of love in the conversation between Buddhism and science. So thank you so much. I'd like to give a special thanks to Ari Eisen just for being such a wonderful, creator from the get-go of this program. It's just a privilege and an honor to be a part of it. It's just an incredible program. I'd like to give a special thanks to Setan for all of her wonderful leadership. And just, again, it's just very exciting to be here. And to begin this, I do also want to again call out Pasang, who's been just phenomenal. He's going to really be our boots on the ground in India. Just the amount of work that he has done to set up the remote experience, and we can see it's going so smoothly today. I can see all of the monastics sitting in the hall in the large room, and we wish we were with you, but Pasang has really created as good of an experience as possible during these COVID times to be with you virtually. So thank you so much, Pasang. I also want to say what a privilege it is to work with the translators. I mean, I will say coming in from, kind of late in the game, coming in just in the last 2 years to the ETSI program, there are a few things that have inspired me more than the translation initiative of ETSI, to take this incredible amount of scientific terms and with such precision and intention and remarkable dedication to translate that into Tibetan has to be one of the great intellectual products that the world has created in some time. And I guess Daldu, Dawa, and Sandhu, you're heroes to me, and to see what you've done with the translation program is absolutely inspiring. So it'll be such a privilege to work with you over these next few days. We have a real exciting opportunity to work with the graduate science teachers. These are teachers who were brought in and recruited in the ETSI program. I was fortunate to be on the kind of group of people that recruited these wonderful graduate science teachers. We've gotten to know them, and we're really excited to work with them over the next 14 days. And I really see this as, and then Nicole does as well, as kind of the beginning of a long-term collaboration that will continue into the winter and the spring and over the next many years. So I really think this electronic platform sets kind of some really exciting opportunities that were not there in person, but this actually creates a good platform for us to have an ongoing training program over the course of the whole year, given that we will have established such a good mechanism for communicating with each other electronically. There are some really wonderful visiting faculty who will be participating in the program with us. Jenny Mascaro from Emory University, Ken Paller from Northwestern University. Hi, Ken, I can see you on the screen. Ken's a colleague of mine at Northwestern University. Ken really kind of said, how can I help? And has been invaluable in getting some equipment, and really is going to be teaching one of the classes and teaching actually multiple classes for the winter research program. Ken's a dear colleague of mine, and I think Ken is going to be a real close collaborator for the sustainability program more generally, and brings such expertise in neuroscience and sleep, and it'll be wonderful to work with him. Michaela Martinez from Emory, Mina Balgopal from Colorado State, who's been centrally involved in ETSI for many years. And my graduate student, James Glazer, is going to be participating. I think he's on the call. James is an absolute expert in EEG and is going to be helping lead the EEG training for us, and both during the winter research training program and then also the next few months. Nicole, do you want to get an overview of the schedule?
So our schedule will involve 3 sessions a day, which is quite tricky when 2 of the instructors are on the other side of the world, but we have made it happen. So the participants, you'll have 2 sort of evening sessions with a break, and maybe occasionally we'll take a little stretch breaks during our sessions too, so we can move around. And then in the morning sessions, these will largely be led by Pasong and the graduate science scholars and others who are sort of helping sort of in person. Throughout these sessions, there'll be sort of a combination of learning new ideas and sort of learning the process of research. But over the course of the workshop, you'll be doing sort of small projects. And so towards the end, these will be about sort of presenting the data that you collect over the next 2 weeks.
So I just want to give a brief kind of larger sense for the research portion of the sustainability phase. So this first phase that we'll really be focusing on this year is has a few goals. One is to give an introduction to the scientific method, to different methods of doing science, qualitative versus quantitative methods, to experimental design. And again, this will really be an experiential learning exercise. As Nicole mentioned, you'll be doing your own research project. We'll be guiding you through that. We'll also be talking about methods of data collection, data organization, how to work with data, how to analyze data, and some very simple, kind of methods of analyzing and working with data. There will be an independent project, as I mentioned, with a focus on emotion and sleep. We decided to focus on emotion and sleep for this first portion of the research training exercise for 2 reasons. One, there's a really exciting confluence between science and Buddhism on the topic of emotion. And we think there can be a rich synergistic conversation there. Two is that I think emotion and sleep are of interest to all of us. We all have emotions and we all sleep. So it kind of creates an opportunity to do research on each other. And 3 is there's a focus on sleep and emotion in the neurobiology portion of the ETSI program. And so this also allows us to connect and synergize with the summer training program. We're going to be incorporating some exciting technologies into this training program. So the beginning will really be a focus on cognitive neuroscience methods. I've purchased 12 of these mobile EEG systems. They're hopefully on their way. They'll be there soon. Even if they don't arrive, we still have some good opportunities to do training on this with my graduate student, James, but they should be here hopefully this week. And so you will all gain experience learning how to collect your own brain data and analyze your own brain data. And we'll do some experiments on this over the course of the next few years. Our hope is to introduce these technologies during the winter research program, but then really have an ongoing training over the course of the next 6 months where we'll be collecting data on all of you if you want to participate, and we'll create a database of 70 or 80 people while people are sleeping and their brain activity, and we can have a really rich data set that I actually think there would be an opportunity or multiple opportunities for publication. So to go back to His Eminence's comments earlier, this might even be an opportunity to contribute to the scientific literature sooner than later. Ken Paller has been really helpful in also helping us purchase, or he actually purchased wearable technology. This is a ring that collects physiology and a lot of different metrics of sleep. So Ken is going to be helping us introduce to these methods. And so we have, I don't know, Ken, I think 30 of these coming to Drepung as we speak. So we have a lot of mobile technology and mobile EEG coming to Drepung, and we'll be starting a long and ongoing conversation on methods of cognitive neuroscience. Nicole, do you want to do this slide?
Yeah, so over the next couple of weeks, we'll also be sort of collecting data using surveys and interviews and using other ways to sort of collect data from humans. And then in phase 2, we'll do a number of things. So one is that we're sort of building a set of tools that we can sort of deepen training in cognitive neuroscience. We'll also be broadening to other research topics. There's particular interest, for example, in eventually sort of broadening to think about sort of water quality and its impacts on the environment and the communities around you. We'll develop further skills in sort of how to collect and analyze data, and be doing some team projects with a bit more independence in defining those questions within some of these topics that we set up. In phase 3, we'll also be sort of getting more and more into having sort of more of our time spent on you doing independent research, so that you can actually have larger, richer data sets to analyze, and give you a lot of sort of skills and sort of presentation training, which is a really important part of the scientific endeavor, because we have to share the results that we have in order to move science forward.
And that's actually our overview. So I think the next slide is actually going into the content for today. So I think with that, I'll just say thank you, and we're looking forward to jumping in.
Thank you so much, Dr. Naslok and Dr. Girardo, for this clear and comprehensive presentation. Thank you also for introducing us to the visiting faculty. It's great to have them here on this occasion. With this, we conclude our opening ceremony, and before we disperse, I'd like to offer our gratitude. I want to thank His Eminence Changchup Chönden Rinpoche for his vision and support of the science education program in the monasteries and nunneries. I also want to thank Geshe Lobsang Tenzin La, the ETSI unit leaders, the visiting faculty, staff for joining us on this special occasion. Of course, we want to thank the workshop participants for their commitment and determination. I'd like to express our deepest gratitude to Debung Losaling Monastery administrators for allowing us to host the workshop at their Science Center and all the supports we have received from them. Our special thanks go to Dr. Denzin Pasang La and his entire team at the center for their unstinting support. Last but not the least, the amazing team of faculty and the faculty leaders who have worked so hard to develop this and other trainings. ETSI is very fortunate to have your support. There is no way we could have done this without you all. So I want to thank you all very much. I wish you all a very productive and a meaningful workshop. I'd now like to request Dr. Naslok and Girardo to take over from here as the guests sign out. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.